Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Well, hello, good evening and welcome. Welcome to Rangers Radio. Join myself, Oxford, on the show this evening as a one and only Bridgeman and also a mucker Port Bear. Evening, gentlemen.
Evening, lads. How we doing?
All the better for hearing your dulcet tones.
Nice to hear from you, Port Bear. Nice to hear from you, pal. A big good evening to yourself, and of course a big good evening to Oxford there. And of course the techie boys in the background who are working hard to get this thing up and running. So well done, everybody. Can I just say to all the Rangers fans that are listening in all over the world, good evening. Welcome to Rangers Radio.
Yes. Sorry, we're a couple of minutes late. Obviously, Fox, Thursday afternoon, he's always the hot date, so he was running a wee bit late tonight. So, happens, mate, it happens. Sometimes you get a better offer in life, Port, you know what it's like.
It's been a while, mate. It's been a while.
It's once a week for Fox. He's regular. Right.
He's
okay.
letting up the weather, mate. Letting up the weather.
Oh, yes. Makes a lot of difference to people, doesn't it? Oh, it doesn't make a lot of difference to you. You're the same colour on your room.
Dark Crusoe.
Clear or something. What was it? What was the colour? Can't remember. Anyway, how's Bridge?
I'm all right, pal. Thanks very much. What about yourself? Hope everything's all right down in Oxfordshire. Some bad news or some serious news, should I say? But maybe they're going to work through it. So let's hope so. But I'm doing well, thanks.
Well, obviously there's a lot happening in the Rangers world. We've got to build up to it. We know it's highly unlikely we're going to win the league, but we want to finish as strong as possible. Yeah, and you just never know. You never know. Where there's life, there's hope, Port Bearer.
Aye, 100%, mate. You know, I'm going to say I think all the players currently that for me they're all playing for their futures at the club or away for the club, and it's the same with the manager. I seen on the last day was the show. So far, he's shown. Everybody doubted his tactical ability. You know, I think he's starting to put himself in the shop window for a possible chance, and also what he's proven, mate, he's a great motivator. He can get the best out of a team. And you know what it's similar to like? It's a wee bit similar to when Gerrard came in. There's a face, and as long as the right coaching staff's about him and guys they can lean on, who's to say wouldn't be a success? But who's to say wouldn't get a shout?
Well, I've got my own views on it, mate. And listen, we'll have a chat about it before we hear from Barry. You've got to take your chances when you're getting them, in life, and strange things happen. If he keeps this run up, we'll talk about performances, because let's be honest, Port, it wasn't great on Saturday.
No.
You know, and these players have got wonderful performances in them. Away to Fenerbahce, etc. You know, home to Tottenham Hotspur. You know, away at Man United where we were unlucky the last minute goal. You know, they've done some wonderful things, but they've also got Queen's Park in them, which is bizarre. I've never known anything like it, mate. I really haven't. However, Barry's come in, the way form. We've won at Kilmarnock, we've won at Fenerbahce, we've won at Celtic Park, we've won at Kilmarnock.
Dundee.
You know, they three away things, and we won at Dundee. Yeah,
yep.
Sorry, we won at Dundee. All the domestic league things we never done at the start of the season, so he's got a tune at them. Whether they were the finished article is up for debate, Bridge.
Yeah, I think I've been saying very similar words. That the flatter to deceive when we win, you know, by a number of goals and or we scrape through and get a victory, just like we did against Dundee. But we have some fantastic performances in Europe and against a really good team at the midden. Really, really baffling to everyone. But they certainly fought. They fought all the way through that game, and I think they thoroughly deserved to win it. To be honest, at the end up, but my goodness, the performance of the first half was just atrocious. But not for the first time this season, but atrocious nevertheless. And
I think you've been kind saying it was atrocious, but
I'm trying not to swear. I'm trying not to swear.
you know, but we won. We won. And if it was nip and tuck, let's be honest, it doesn't matter how you won. So maybe sometimes at this time of the season, you don't critique the performances. You're only interested in the points. But because it's no nip and tuck, we're critiquing performances, and it was awful. It was awful. But fair play to the coaching staff and the manager. They made changes. Did they work as individuals? No, it never had anything. The subs that came on were great, but however, apart from maybe Lawrence with the goal, however, we're 2-1 down. We won the game 4-3, so they did work for the team. Yeah.
No, definitely. I mean, I'll see that for Barry Ferguson, mate, and the coaching team. Neil McCann included. I'm going to give him kudos as well.
I might have known you'd like him.
A fellow port boy, you know what I mean. But what I'll say is that he's a reactive manager, mate, and so is he's coached Billy Dodds, Neil McCann. You know, they seem to be, when the thing's not working, they're willing to change. And one thing this team's shown, that it's never shown under Philip Clement, because they probably weren't given a chance, was adaptability. All right, they look vulnerable, so there's a vulnerability about the side at times. Then, as you said, sometimes they look magic and great to watch. But what they've added to another string in their bowling, mate, in my opinion, is they're adaptable. Now, a lot of these players were maybe not happy playing under Phil's previous, philosophy or his formation. But what this team's shown is when Barry has to change it, mate, and they have to change a few tweaks, tactics here and there, the team seems to respond to it. And obviously he's a half-time team talk, and they respond to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a bit of the hairdryer treatment, but they're responding well to Oxford. Now, I thought a lot of that, and I said it on here, I thought a lot of the shrinking violets in your team wouldn't like Barry's sort of aggressive approach, but he's getting a tune at them, mate.
Name names. Put you on the spot, mate.
Name names? Who's reacted? Nico Raskin.
Shrinking violets? Like myself and Bridge was trying in.
No, see, I'm going to say the quieter ones, the team like your Diamandis, your Yefties, proper players like them, mate. I just think they just go about the game quietly. I'm not saying you have to be a good player, you can be shouting and balling and thundering into tackles, but like I believe in this in football, mate. It's like being a good player, right? But you have to have the right minerals and a wee bit. 100% football. You have to, ability will get you so far.
You make it, does it?
No, it doesn't, mate. You have to have the other minerals in football: aggression, will to win, passion, and a bit of grit, and I'm going to say it because the manager said it as well, and I've always said it on here, mate. The dark arts, the evil side of football, the nastiness, have that wee bit of bite in you, and I can see that through our team, and especially at Parkhead. I noticed it.
Maybe that was your trouble, Bridge. You were too nice.
Only for a few minutes. No, I think I 100% agree. To reach the top and be up there, nearly every player's got to have that wee bit in them. Take a booking for the team, that kind of thing. But obviously, some of them don't know how to tackle and do that because they're normally quiet and clean. But I think someone like Ferguson might, and the other coaches might be able to put that wee bit of venom into them, that they can easily take the man down, foul him, and maybe 50-50 you'll get a yellow card. But we don't want them to kill people. Not now anyway, but that's correct.
I think the 5 substitutes has changed football. I think there's times where you can take one for the team when in the past you might not have been able to, when there was only 2 substitutes, because if somebody gets hurt, etc., you could end up doing 10 men. I think it's changed the game, but I really do.
I agree. The probably the most glaring example of the last few weeks is when Robin Proper came on at Parkhead, and the boy Maeda on the halfway line is about to break, and Robin Proper, none of our thoughts was in his game. Robin Proper takes one for the team, which again, a big centre half like that, you expect to see that. But Robin Proper, too nice to tackle, likes to block, but it makes a great foul on the halfway line that stops that attack. We don't know where the transpires from it, but that's the sort of examples I'm talking about, Oxford.
Mm-hmm.
That's cynical. Aye, cynical tackle, a hard one. And I'll tell you, he hurt that player after that. So he did, because he was living about for the rest of the game. And these are the wee things, to me, that matter.
Mm-hmm. It's one for the team, mate.
Yeah.
One for the team. Right.
You wouldn't dream that Port Vale was so bad, would you? Quite evil. Quite evil. I love it.
It's always been part of the game, isn't it? But as I say, I think the substitutions has changed it. The fact that you've got all you can take one, you can take your whole midfield off its on a yellow card pot,
Yeah, exactly, mate. Aye, bang on. And I think it's became part of the game, mate. I think players know if you're going to target someone and your centre halves to a book in the first 10 minutes, you've got an option to swap. The squads are that big now, mate, and with good quality and depth throughout British and world football, they can bring another player on, like you said, mate, and have another pop. Well, that's why I added world and British football, mate.
Right, we'll hear to the first part about what Barry's got to say, then we'll get the phone lines opened, yeah?
Superb, mate.
Bridge?
I go for it.
Let's hear from your gaffer, Barry Ferguson.
Hi Neil, do you want to give us a squad update, Neil? How's Vaslav?
He's still working with the I got a bit of fright there. He's still working with the medical department, and he'll join us tomorrow, hopefully. But we're still unsure whether he'll make it or not.
If he doesn't make it tomorrow, do you think he'll be all right for Europe?
Well, he's making really good progress, so we're hopeful that he'll be involved in Saturday. But we've got such big games coming up tomorrow. Saturday is one of them. But as you know, the European games are huge, so we just have to be kind of guided by him. We'll push him as much as we can because he's been really important for us. But we take no risks if he's not feeling 100%.
Rest of the squad?
Good. Yeah, rest of the squad's good. Wee Bailey Rice took a knock in the game at Dundee, but showed a wee bit of guts and determination to stay on as we couldn't make any more substitutes. And I think he's another one that's making progress. Might have joined us today, so we just need to find out with the medical team tomorrow morning.
Barry said after the Dundee match he'd seen old habits creep in and was going to speak to the players about it. What have the coaching staff said to the players needs to improve if you're to get a result this weekend? Well,
obviously we can't divulge what we said about our thoughts on maybe Barry's comments about being bad habits creeping back. And I think the difficult thing for us is that having the short space of time we've been in the doors, we've actually thrown an unbelievable amount of information at them. I think you'll all recognise that we've wanted to change shape a number of times, not only from the start of matches against different opposition, but during matches when we felt it maybe wasn't going right. So it's obvious that old coaching habits, maybe things that they've been encouraged to do previous to us coming in will still remain as a kind of hard wire, and it's up to us that if we don't like those, we'll try and change them. But they have to take a wee bit of time. We're all aware that it will take a wee bit of time to get that information into them, so it's second nature. It's about repetition. Unfortunately, we don't have a great deal of time before the end of the season. But we work hard every day in training for them to try and take that information on board.
You mentioned a number of times that the shape's changed within the game. Is that something that, as a coaching staff, you're maybe trying to limit going forward?
What? Sorry?
You're maybe trying to limit going forward in terms of changing the shape mid-game?
Well, if we set out a plan that we think can work from the start, it'd be lovely for that to see that through. But teams will change against you if it's going well, and sometimes you need to counter that. I think that's one thing that the group have been really... They've been really good on. They've been accepting of changes made in a game. I think they've shown an ability to be adaptable in a game as well. We've all got ideas in a game. We set out our shape, our tactical plan, how we think it might work out. nothing is perfect in a game of football. You don't play against 11 robots. They're trying to get the upper hand. There are players maybe playing really well and ask us more questions, but I don't think it's about having a set way of playing and thinking that's going to get your results right through. I think it's really good to be flexible. We've shown already going to Fenerbahce and playing a different manner. We've gone to Dundee, played different ways. We've started at home against Motherwell. That didn't work out too well. So it shows that, you know, our thought process of trying to get a result isn't always our way. It's sometimes an opposition can dictate how that's going, and you have to just be willing. Probably, I think that's one of the things that the gaffer's shown, Fergie's shown, that he's prepared to change it. He's not prepared to just change personnel and think that way will work, because sometimes it's very obvious it isn't working, and we have to change it.
Neil, you've obviously been a wee while now. To your mind, what's the one thing that's been missing for this team this season? They play so well in European games, yet domestically be so.
Well, obviously, right up to a point, the away form was an issue. The level of consistency was always what was spoken about. I always felt that watching it, that there was really good players there, but sometimes an opposition would ask them questions, particularly away from home, and they really struggled at times to answer it. I think we have shown now, going away from home, that sometimes it requires a wee change, Robert, in terms of that formation. I think the information that we have given them as well, I'd like to think that, having analysed everybody in the league this season through my previous job, that you've got good knowledge of what can work, but as I said, that can be dictated to by the opposition. But I think our ability to change shape, I think the information we've given them, we absolutely have changed how we attack, but we're still conceding goals. And as a coaching staff, that's absolutely something that we've got to try and eradicate. We can't give, and I know you all have the stats there, you can't keep on giving opposition one goal, but never mind 2 goals of a start. But on the flip side of that, I think we're showing that we've got a wee bit of guts about us, a wee bit of determination. There's something about the group that we've all been really pleased about and how they're reacting in games. Even when you think about the Motherwell result that we were on the end of at Ibrox, we changed the shape again and they reacted well, and probably maybe a wee bit unlucky not to come away with something from the game. But so there's a mindset that I think the gaffer was wanting to change coming in. He felt that had to be switched a wee bit, and I definitely believe that we've got something there.
That guts that you talk about, is that something you're trying to, that you should focus on with these big games coming up? Because you say there's been a...
Every game, Robert, to be honest, has to be shown that character. There needs to be a real willingness to win. There needs to be, sometimes you've got to dig deep, because not always is it going to go well for you, as I spoke about earlier. And a game can be won in an ugly manner, in terms of sometimes you've got to roll your sleeves up, you've got to be prepared to put your foot in. Sometimes you have to go right to the end and show that you've got a wee bit left in the tank. That can be difficult at times, particularly like you look at the Dundee game, for example, when we go back to 3-1 down and we've missed a number of chances. Maybe in the past, maybe that wouldn't have been able to be brought back. I know Fergie speaks about that after the match. But the pleasing thing for us is placing that demand on them, just to have the inner resolve, that just to keep going and believe they're going to score, because we've worked really, really hard in the time we've been in here on attacking phases, on positions out of possession. But obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done. Okay.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Well, my apologies, first of all. That was the Barry Ferguson, of course. It was his assistant, Neil McCann, who took the interview today. My slip up. Port Vale, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Is there a couple of digs coming across to the previous regime, or am I just reading too much into it?
No, I think it's pretty clear. There's part of Phil's philosophy and part of Phil's So what they're looking for character, maybe still about the dressing room, still about the training field. And I think slowly but surely the new regime are trying to iron them out, mate. That's what it sounds like to me, and I don't think it's a bad thing to do. And I think clearly, like Neil was hinting on there, he's basically saying, he's demanding a lot of their players. Even if you're carrying a wee knock, he heard them mention about Bailey Reese earlier on. Bailey had a wee knock, but they didn't have stuff to make, and they asked him, look, just play through it. And he was possibly going to be out for the weekend's game. But this management team, mate, have got different demands of players. I don't think they accept guys that were injury prone. With better commas, out a lot of times. It's no surprise, mate, that all of a sudden these injury prone players are in the team a lot more regular because demands for the manager and the coaching staff are, they're probably in their ear, mate, saying, come on, is it really that bad you can't play? We expect more. You're at Rangers, we expect this, we expect that. I think it's demands, mate. I think it demands that Barry Ferguson and his coaching team are putting on these players. It's rubbing off and it's working. Whereas I think maybe Phil was maybe he was too nice, mate. Maybe he was too nice. Maybe he was one of the sort of manager that wants to put his arm around you, wanted to like father you and take you on that way. But Barry Ferguson is just sort of chalk and cheese, mate. It's two different manager types. And on current playing form, I know what we're watching is not great yet, but the character that has been added to the team in the fight and the go to the very end, that's been added by the current regime, mate.
Well, I know it can be a curse sometimes, being too nice. I suffer for that a lot myself. Bridgeman,
I like it.
Bridgeman, well, he's talked about a lot of changes through the match. We've been on here for a long time, and we've talked about a lot of managers, me and you, over the years. And I think if you are, and it was one of my criticisms, Phil, Warburton was another one I had a problem with that, and at times Giovanni sometimes as well, domestically, was that you can be too stubborn. If something's not working, I always think it's a job of a manager. Obviously, you can change personnel. If somebody, you've got a speed merchant, you've got somebody quick, you can maybe change somebody and put them up against. But tweaking shapes in a football match is part of a manager's job at the top level, Bridge. We're not talking about guys playing amateur football when you set up 4-4-2 and you go for it all season, the same shape, and that's the way you play. We're talking about top professionals here, yeah?
Yeah, but I still, like, Philippe Clement, unfortunately for him, and Van Bronckhorst as well, got it. They were getting booed during the game, and at half times and things like that. And that, to me, from being a Rangers fan, and I know it's Rangers fans that are booing them, but I don't think that's right. And I think that it wound up, I would say, bringing them down a wee bit. But that's not to say that Clement did some smashing things in Europe, and so did Van Bronckhorst. And I loved it. I loved Van Bronckhorst in Europe, brilliant. But there was a lot went wrong for Clement, and it might have been some, and we'll never know about it. There might have been some between him and the players, or a number of players, and he just couldn't rise to it, to whatever it was that was required. The manager couldn't rise to it. When I mean rise, he should rise to it and bring the players with him, and it never happened for him. And I think that was a sin.
Well,
but
it's
I
gone
think this
now.
man, sorry,
It's gone now. I don't know what you take on it, Bridge. Would if something was the working in a game and you maybe went 1 or 2 goals down and your manager didn't change it, when you were playing, would you be looking for your manager to change it?
Oh, there'd be a fight at half time. A definite fight, physical, absolutely. Yeah.
Port, would you be looking for your manager to change it?
100%, mate. Of course, it gets to the stage. I've been in a situation, mate, where you can see something happening during the first half of a game, and you go at half time, you can, and you as a captain, you voice your concerns, you voice, where you see holes or where it's not working, and you've been your manager's here, you're talking to your assistant manager and stuff, and you'll be, just dropping me ideas, and that's where I think a manager becomes, as you said, mate, to the top level, the sharp end of football, basically, if they take messages on board, because it shouldn't be just one way, batter. It's the manager's way or no way, because that's where managers fall on their own sword, in my opinion, mate. If you just listen to the stands, listen to players, listen to, have a wee look. Just don't. It was a stubbornness, mate, that was getting to me with Phil near the end. Just that consistent, I'm going to play that way, and that's the way it's going to be, regardless of how it goes, But I think they have to listen, mate, and I think that's what this team's doing. Barry sees things and he reacts, and that to me, that's a sign of a guy that is trying to get the best for Rangers, but he's also trying to get the best for this team. They're trying to find the solution, mate, to get the best out of this current squad. That's what we can use to end the season, mate. That's what we can use. So get the formation, get the system, get the philosophy that suits the current crop of players we've got to the end of the season, and let's see how it goes. And Barry's doing that, and that's why you're seeing so many wee tweaks and tactical changes in the squad right now, mate. They're trying to find something that works. Sorry, mate,
Of course you can, Rich.
It was just to say, I've said this all along. I'm not Barry Ferguson's biggest fan as a manager. Let's put it that way. I think Rangers should be going for better. But
I'm available, Rich. I'm available.
Of course, he's there. But he's there, and the guys he brought in have been absolutely tremendous for the team and the club. Absolutely brilliant. The fans are a lot happier than since Clement went, and we've got in Barry. And Barry's as a Ranger. He's in the heart. He's a Ranger. I personally didn't want him, but he's here now, and I'm supporting him. I think he's doing a fantastic job. Knowing what we know through Clement and how they performed at times very poorly, and we find out even when Barry, they're playing sometimes quite poorly. Fortunately, it's not for a whole game. It's only for a part of a game. The rest of it is our own fault if we can't put the ball in the net, But I think he's actually got some fight into him, and it's great for players to have fight. And as Port said there, Port's a nasty on the part. I know that. And you were a needle as well. But that's what you do. That's what you learn. You learn it, and you get in and tore in, and don't take any crap off anybody. And Barry was like that. And if you can see it in some of the players now, boys that you thought when they say boo a moose, they're getting in, and I love it.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We'll hear the second part of Neil's interview, but come and join us. Give your thoughts on the management team. We'll take calls on anything. Obviously, I get sent a message. I don't do Facebook, but I get sent a message, and somebody, listen, if you want to talk about any subject Rangers related, we'll take your call on here. But we might not talk about subjects all night. Yeah, all right. So we welcome a call in. Yeah, listen, we'll hear the second part of Neil McCann talking about Saturday's game. When we come back, we'll talk about Tierney. Obviously, that was mentioned in the first half. We might get a bigger clue of what else is happening with the players. So let's hear the second part of Neil McCann.
Can I ask you about Cyriel, because I think after the game at the end you looked particularly pleased for him. Understandably, you must see what he does behind the scenes here and working closely with him. What have you made of him? Because he still divides opinion in a lot of ways.
He will always divide opinion, Cyriel, because he will miss chances in games, and I think that's the life of a striker. I said to him I was so proud of him after the game, because he literally did not stop making runs, and we're always asking him to make runs and continue to believe he's going to score. I told him at half time I believed that he was going to score. We just have to keep making chances for him. And you hear it all the time, and it is a cliche, and it isn't, because you hear of the best strikers saying that if he's not getting chances, you start to worry that a team's not creating, but we are creating for Cyriel. I've been so impressed by him, I have to say. I had an outside opinion of him. I just thought he was a brilliant guy. I'll definitely be quoted along the lines of always saying he looks like a brilliant teammate. And if you can be a brilliant teammate, it's so important to your group, because you can rely on the work rate is never going to dip. Yes, he might have an off day, but I was particularly pleased for him, not only for getting back in the 4-3, but for him personally to get that goal. You saw actually his celebrations, how much it meant to him, but he's a really important member of the group.
Neil, what's your own position in terms of how long you would like to stay at the club? And obviously you're putting your media stuff on.
No, I haven't even looked. Listen, this is a coal face, and every footballer will probably tell you. Well, not every footballer, because a lot of people actually don't want to have a go at this, but I love it. There's nothing better than being on a touchline, on a training ground, preparing for a game. There's nothing better. I love my time at Dundee, I love my time at Inverness. It's taken a different avenue afterwards. I haven't looked any further forward. You can't, because the contract is a contract, and we're in here to do a job, and as I've said there, we're working very, very hard at it. What we're charged with is making improvements to the group, make improvements to the individuals, get the fans back seeing a team that is really, really fighting, just saying they're showing all the qualities that you have to have as a Rangers player. It's not just about being a good footballer. Most of the time, players come to this club and they should already be marked as a good player, having the right ability to play for Rangers. But there's a lot more ingredients going to actually being a successful Rangers player, and we're trying to inject that into them.
You've obviously known Barry a long time, that's why he's brought you in. Have you seen a different side to him, or anything that's kind of surprised or impressed you more?
No, I've not seen any different side. I've known Fergie for a long time now. He's trying to bring the character that he had as a player, the demand as he had as a player. Dodgy's the same, Griggs is the same, Esam's existing for us coming in. But on the whole, the four guys that have come in here, we all probably share that probably real fighting Scottish spirit that I think is good, because the group got it right away. They understood the message in the first training session was very, very clear, what we expected. It's never been let go. It's relentless in terms of what we expect from them, work rate, intensity in training. I think that's maybe something that they've had to adjust to, because we found that in the first week or two we were driving them really, really hard, and it was taking a lot out of them. But we felt that we had to hit levels that we expected them to see in order to then face your opposition. So yeah, Fergie's no changed in any way. Still moaning. But I think we're all like a wee moan, but it's done in a manner that as a staff we work very, very hard in terms of coming up with the right plan, and sometimes it doesn't always work, but what we're good at is having a second and third option, and the players are able to adapt to that, which is great. We don't leave anything. We've got this place here and we show them everything, possibilities, but like every football team, as soon as they cross the line they make a split second decision. Sometimes it's wrong, sometimes it's right.
Could those traits that you've got outlined there, Neil, that like a work rate and the mentality side of it, if this management team wasn't to stay on next season, could that almost be your like parting gift, if you like, to the next squad, to the next manager?
What we've been charged of, as I said there, is improving the group, improving individuals, and hopefully you've got a lasting effect on that demand of what is expected at this football club. A draw is not a good result at Rangers. It just isn't domestically. You know, if you go away from home in a European tie, you get a draw and you come back to Ibrox, then you fancy your chances. But the whole DNA of this club has not been lost on the four of us coming in, certainly. And I think that's something that the players have embraced. They really have embraced it. Whether they take it all on board is another thing, but we have to keep hammering that home and equally try to make them better footballers. And it's not just all about the character. We have to try and make them better footballers. And we're three very different type of players. So with that, you can actually get a hold of a lot of the squad and offer them a lot of advice. Wingers, strikers, midfielders, and then you chip in with some defensive stuff as well.
You say that DNA though, Neil, was that lost though somewhere along the line?
Sorry?
That DNA that you talk about, was that lost somewhere? You've had to change things.
I can't speak from the previous because I've not been in here. It's sometimes you get a wee bit of a shock's not the right word, but you get surprised actually when you come into an environment and you get to know people personally. You've maybe got a formed opinion, and sometimes you need to change that opinion because you read somebody totally wrong. And that's something that we need to be open to as a coaching staff as well. It's not just coming in here and battering through a straight line and anybody that deviates from it is cast aside. It's not that. But I don't know what it was like. We've all heard stories in the past of what was going on in the background. Where we only have fresh eyes, and actually when I'm doing my punditry stuff, watching the team, and I just felt maybe towards the latter end of Philippe's tenure that I felt that the group lacked a wee bit of spark at times for me, a wee bit of energy, a bit of tempo and aggression in their play and that was something that we tried to set out very, very early when coming in.
Well, thanks for that, Fox. We'll touch on the Tierney one for the first interview, and then obviously Dessers took the biggest chunk of that second. But listen, Tierney, I think what's coming up on Thursday, there's got to be a bit of common sense, Porter.
Aye, but the impact he's had this season, mate, and the assists, goals, I'd be wrapped up and caught Mill, mate. I'd be wrapped up and caught Mill, I really would. If he's a risk, even 90%, 80%, mate, I wouldn't risk him. I'd keep him for the European game, mate.
I tend to agree with you. Bridge?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we've got to watch him and make sure he's okay. Don't take any chances at all, because he is a top man, and you don't want him to come in and throw him in under a bus with a wee injury that's there and it's not quite finished or not quite sorted. If he's got to be 100% sorted and everybody agrees on it, and then you can play him, don't take any chances, because, and not, to be honest, when he's not playing, he's a miss. He is missed, you know. So we want him on the park as long as possible with the team. And again, when we say when the manager wants to nurse him, every game, no matter what game he's playing in, between now and the end of the season, got to be nursed. If we're doing well and we're get him off, just pull him off and get somebody on, and let him know that's what it is. You know, so it's, to me, it's just don't wait, because the most talented player we've got on an out ball is you just give him the ball and sure as shooting, something happens round about him. He's just a brilliant player for us, really and truly. And he makes people come alive as well, and that's the truth. So, yes, nurse him.
And if it was said last week, it is a hamstring. Obviously, the longer you can get, it helps. And then, I mean, their level of fitness, you'd be all right to play the game, Port, at this time of the season. There's not a lot of training done, is there?
No, there's not. But hamstring, mate, we could end up losing them for the rest of the season. And for me, that's not an option. Because, in my opinion, Ox, Vlad Tierney is a difference maker at Ibrox. He's the man that makes a difference in their squad. The team is a lot better for having him in it. And you've noticed that in the Dundee game. We just didn't, as Bridgeman touched on, we just didn't seem to have that out ball and that up that right side, which has been our Achilles heel for a long time. So we missed him, 100%. We missed him against Dundee. Yeah, there's definitely, but he's a difference maker, mate. He makes a massive difference to our squad. So, as I said, wrap him up in cotton wool and let's get a result against Bilbao.
Still there? What? Still there?
We discussed Dessers last night at Lendbridge, and everybody's talked about him. I mean, I said it, and I'll say it before, I don't know a bigger enigma ever in our club than Cyriel Dessers. But I would be interested in your take on it. Yeah? Bridgeman first.
Cyriel Dessers, enigma, capital ENIGMA. It's unbelievable, seriously unbelievable. However, I have to say, when his winning goal against Dundee thrilled me as much as any great goal that's been scored by Rangers, and we've been a lot this season. But that goal was absolutely fabulous. The technique he showed, everything came into it and he played there. He watched the vision, watching the ball. You know, they were controlling the game, running about you, knowing who's there, and he get a beautiful chest down. And my God, he saw the goalkeeper coming out to him, and he flicked it past. Oh my God, that was just fabulous. But you know, add that into all the rest of it. It's just a mess, you know. His finish is poor. Gets the ball, all the chances, my brilliant passes through him, and just can't do nothing right. And all of a sudden he comes away with a corker like that at the end. You got to take your hat off to him for getting the goal. But oh my God, what an enigma!
Yeah, he's a code we've not cracked. Port, your take on him?
Mate, see, you just mentioned his name. It makes me smile. It makes me smile because there's times when I'm screaming at the TV at him and I've got veins sticking out my head, and then you've got moments like I'll give you an example. Real Batiste, the goal he scores over there. The goal he scored at Old Trafford. And then the 11 chances against Dundee, and he doesn't get one. Then his last, basically his last chance against Dundee, he scores probably I don't know if you agree, probably the most difficult finish out of the lot of them. That just sums up.
As far as the chances, there was a couple of his efforts weren't the real chances. He got them on target, but he done, and the one he hooked outside, and tried to hook it in, that wasn't a chance, but he missed chances. I would agree with you. That was the hardest real chance he had, and he scored it with aplomb, mate.
That's what I'm saying. And even the goal against Dundee United, they wanted to get to angle and he smashed it across into the top corner. So you've got amazing finishes like that, and then it seems to be when he's got time on the box here, his wee brain just keeps it's an overdrive. But when it comes to instinct finishing, that seems to be his strength. You know what I mean? But as I said, mate, it puts a smile on my face. He seems like a great, like Neil McCann said, he seems a great teammate. You know, because he gives one thing nobody can ever slag him for is work rate and trying. Because you think with the amount of trying and work rate he does, you think eventually he's going to get in. But when he misses chances next year, he doesn't hide. He still comes and shows for that ball, and he'll run for 90 minutes. Will that be enough to keep my Ibrox? I don't know. But certainly, I wouldn't be forcing him out the door until you can get somebody that can replace his goals.
I would sell him for a price, and I'll tell you why. Because he's age, and we don't want somebody getting into the last year of a contract and sitting. That's my rationale. That's
I agree.
My pure rationale. Right.
Yeah, that makes total sense, mate.
Yeah, 100%.
It's the old saying. Sorry, Bridge. The old saying, Ox, strike with irons hot. And there will be somebody in Europe that will look at his goals and say he's worth a punt.
I mean,
when he scores goals in Europe, if he's scoring goals in Europe is that's something. That's a big thing, you know.
Yeah.
Right. You've got the goals record. He's been involved in assists. He's since he got into the team when he started. He wasn't fit, and then he got in the team. He's attendance record, if you like, Bridge has been excellent. But I'll say it again. If you can ever think about it, I just cannot think of anybody who's been a bigger enigma at our club than Cyriel Dessers.
No, 100%. 100%, yeah. And it's sad, you know, because some of the goals he scores are absolutely out of this world. You know, he has got this ability. Can draw people in. He can stumble over a ball and still get a shot in sometimes, you know. And you think, my God. And, you know, just sometimes when you see him and you think, oh, come on, I better smash at that. And he tries to do that wee cutback. And you think, could run up and batter him, you know. But, no, seriously, when he puts the ball in the net, it's just... And as Port Bear said, he's got a smile across his face, and you can't help but smile with him when he scores goals. But see, when he doesn't score goals, oh my goodness, he's so petulant and it's no real. Wow, unbelievable. Enigma.
Right, we've got the last part of Neil's interview, so we'll hear that. And then we'll get near the tune, and hopefully we'll get some people joining us. Yes, sounds like a plan.
Indeed.
It does. Dial that number, troops. Come on.
Let's hear from Neil McCann.
How's Jack Butland's character? Neil was coming for a wee bit of criticism again after the goal conceded at Dundee last week.
Life of a goalkeeper, same as Big Cyriel, coming under pressure, missing chances. You make a mistake. As a goalkeeper, invariably it ends up in the back of your net. That's a confidence thing. I'll leave Griggsy to get on with that, with Con. And he never seems to be a player that you have to work too hard to pick up. He's very, very professional. I think he speaks brilliantly well. Really smart guy, takes information on. Unfortunately, individual errors he'll have to deal with personally. Of course, we'll still place the same demand on a goalkeeper as we will the outfield players. They don't escape that, and he doesn't try to run away from it either. He's very forthright in fronting up to his mistakes. And that's the same for all of our players. They're very forthright in just accepting ownership if they make mistakes. And we're not short on showing them mistakes, particularly outfield players. It's obvious for goalkeepers, but if we're coming in here after a match, we do a lot of work and preparation in terms of showing them where they could have done better, and hopefully that will minimise mistakes.
If you're asked about Barry's credentials for this job long term, what would you say are his number one kind of credentials essentially for him? Why, if he was to get the job, should he get the job?
Honestly, it's no my place to tell if it is a new ownership that come in who's to get the job. What I would say is that I've been very impressed by how he wants to work. His willingness to allow Dodgy and I a lot of say on the training field and in matches. And I think what he's shown already, that a lot of people maybe thought from his coaching CV that he maybe wouldn't even be ready to even take this position. I think he's proved that wrong. So it's not my place to tell anybody who's to get the job or not. As I said, all we can do is work hard, and I don't think anybody in this building will tell you anything different.
Do you think, Neil, do you think that the way the team performs from now until the end of the season could dictate what the powers that be decide in terms of the next management team?
Well, of course it could have an influence, aye. And you would hope that there's an influence already been happening, because they felt they had to make a change, the board already, and then the new ownership. We don't know what that's going to look like, but when a team makes a change, or a board makes a change for a management team, then clearly they're looking for a reaction immediately. They want results, and all we can do is try and get them for them.
But you were saying about Barry kind of getting the job, obviously caretaker job, and he was ready for that. But do you feel he's ready, if he was to be appointed long term, he's ready for that gig?
As in-house, speaking to Fergie and as a coaching staff, none of us are frightened of a challenge. Not one of us. And if it was to be presented to us, I don't think there'd be any of us to say, no, it's not for us. But as I said, it's too far in the distance to even encourage that. As I said many times, and already in this, we've got a huge game coming up against Hibs, who are 15 unbeaten in the league. Play a certain way under David's side. I'm absolutely delighted for him. I spoke to him actually previous to me coming in here, because I know what it's like being a new manager. Looking at Big Alan there, Dundee fan, and it's not straight cut. It's not easy, and you've got ideas, and sometimes it takes a wee bit of time before new players bed in and new ideas bed in. And I'm delighted for David, because he's certainly coached a very, very good side, and they've got it going at the minute.
If coming into the season, you have to go back to the kind of punditry job. Will you be okay with that, or is this giving you the spark that you talk about wanting to be back involved in football?
I love football. I love being on the side of the pitch. I love coaching. I love the whole strategy of management. I've loved my time already in here. Being part of Rangers is something that I'm very proud of. I was as a player. I've had a chance to come back in and put the badge back on again as a coaching team, and that's great. If I need to go back to punditry or another life, I'll give it 100% as well.
Last one, Alan. I know it's been a few weeks. Neil, can you explain how you felt when Barry phoned you on the Sunday?
Surprised. The first thing is surprised, because obviously I didn't expect it to be coming. And then of course the question, then when I got a phone call on Monday from the club to say, would you be interested, then clearly there's an excitement there. And yeah, it's not an opportunity I thought was going to come, but I couldn't wait. I literally couldn't wait to get into work. And it's been like that since the start. It's early starts, it's late finishes, but it's so good being back involved again.
Neil, can I just ask you, there's a lot of talk about reconstruction this week. You've had that media experience and also management, now coaching. Do you think the status quo is good enough, or would you like to see any tweaks made to the structure?
I've always liked the idea of a wee bit bigger league. How that's configured is everybody's guess, but I think we've got teams that would enhance the top league. I know a lot of people say there was dead rubber, but I believe that you can always get something from that, whether it's introduction of young boys, whether it's more places up for grabs, a couple of relegation places in a playoff position. There's ways of trying to find the middle ground, but the most important thing, if it was bigger, would be, I see it being more opportunity for young boys to be cut in, because maybe maybe it would take away a lot of the fear factor that exists right now. But I think it's a very, very good league. I like the split. I've always been one that I said like the split. I've been involved in it with Dundee. Don't fear it. Didn't fear it. So I think there's loads of discussions whether it's going to be a 10, 12, 14, 16. But I've got enough on my plate right now to get my teeth into that look.
Quick one on Hibs. Just a quick one on Hibs. Just in terms, you talked about David Gray's, how he's turned it around. I mean, how do you expect him to come at you on Saturday?
Don't know. I'm actually sick watching Hibs, to be honest. I've watched so much of their games, as all the coaching staff have all taken their stuff away. We're pretty well versed in how they play. I think they've got their success from a certain shape. Maybe this interview might spook Davey into doing something different, but I really can't see it because they've got something going. They've got some really good players there. I think they've got an understanding and a belief about the group. They're going to pose a very hard challenge for us at Ibrox, but they need to be ready for one back because we've been working extremely hard to get our boys into shape. We are playing that we think can get Rangers 3 points on Saturday.
Well, he's the exception rather than the rule. Somebody really articulate for Port Glasgow. What about
Don't listen to him, Port.
Aye, he speaks very well, mate, doesn't he? He speaks very well about our club. A great wee footballing tune this down here. No, I think he's doing, just to give some kudos to Neil McCann, mate. I think he's, as a player at Ibrox, loved him, mate. One of the typical players that used to keep on the edge of your seat. You know, the trick, typical old-fashioned winger. Loved playing, loved watching him, mate. Played with his brother, actually, in a couple of teams down here. Who, and if you speak to people from the Port, Eddie was a better player than his brother, believe it or not. Just never had the same sort of drive as his brother to make it to the professional level. But no, mate, he's come in, like touched on, proud to wear that badge again for the second time, only in a coaching capacity this time. You can hear it in him, mate. He's got an absolute love for your club and an affection, and it's never went away. Even when he was a pundit, he used to always try and, he speaks very true, mate. He's very honest, and that's what I like about him. I think he wears his heart on his sleeve, like all our current management team. No, but I can't speak high enough about him, mate. He's got drive for football. You can just see him on the touchline. I love watching him on the touchline along with Barry, mate. He kicks every single ball, makes every tackle. He's always giving advice to the manager. He's always passing information to the players, mate. And like he says, and I'm not going to look further beyond the season, he's got 3 months, mate, to come in and do the best job that they possibly can and see where it takes him, mate.
Aye. He's definitely articulate, Bridge. Yeah?
Very much so.
He carries himself really well, doesn't he?
He does indeed. Are you talking about Port? No, or is it Neil McCann?
Both of them, mate. Both of them,
yeah. I think Neil McCann's been a fantastic servant to Rangers. Absolutely fantastic. I love listening to the guy. I loved watching him, and I don't really care what anybody else thought about him. I thought he was just a fabulous player for Rangers, and I don't know how much he cost when we bought him. I don't know how much. I don't know what we did if we sold him, but I absolutely hated him when he was gone. He's a really, really good player for us. And you see some of these big games at Hampden, some of the crosses you put in to get goals. Lovenkran's goal, particularly, to win the cup, and they're just fabulous things he did for the Rangers. Just loved him, and listening to him there, it was just, if we could take that kind of speech and tag it up with the actual football, the guy's ability. Hopefully he gets that far with Rangers and he stays at Rangers. He's just brilliant for me. Brilliant. Love him.
Aye.
Sure. Sorry.
On you go, Bridge.
No, it's just let's see your opinion on Neil McCann. What do you enjoy about the assistant manager since he's come into the club? Do you see his influence on the team?
How articulate he is. He shows a passion on the touchline that we've never seen before. And obviously, I'll say this without being, it looks as if they're a management team, whereas before we had Philip standing on the side of the park and didn't look as if there was that much going on, did there?
No, that's fair. I think that's really fair. And I think if you look, Barry seems to have them all involved. Even the boy.
That's the manager's choice, mate. feel I've been coached with people who don't want to talk at the side of the park, who don't want to give you information during the game, and they want to give you a half time, and you got other ones that are giving you constantly during the game. There's no a right or a wrong, is there?
No, there's not. There's definitely not. There's definitely not. But it's like you're saying, you know, the word team, and on that coaching staff, you can just see them. Oh, they've all got a part. They've all got a part. You know, and I'm enjoying that, mate. I'm really enjoying that. Just
quickly on the reconstruction, mate. I actually disagree with Neil McCann. I ain't a fan of the split. I get it in the league, but I would personally, and we might know the teams, but we could develop the teams. You could name them. There's a lot of similarities. 20-team league, same number of games, 38. If that's the way to go. If no, an 18-team league, you play 34. Yeah, and that would be it, mate, for me. And you play home and away, and there's the season's drawn. There's no split, and you just go on with it. Yeah, and they talk about the game. I've said it again the other night. They talk about the big game in Scottish football. We'll market it and make it even bigger. So when you don't play as often, the event's even bigger. So just my views, Bridge.
Yeah, obviously you're right, and I feel the exact same. But I think there's certain forces in this country that just want to see the Rangers Celtic play 4 times, because that's the man that generates all the money and so on and so forth. The one the television wants to see. I personally, I would rather have a smaller, not a 20 league like England, but a 30, an 18 game, 18 team, or a 16 team. I would like that. And much like you said, my personal thought is go for an 18. If we can get an 18, that would be fantastic. And you're going to play whatever it be, 38 games, and away you go.
34 games.
34 games. Whatever it is, ain't bothered. I think we do it, and let's get it done. And so to me, I think maybe 19 and maybe too much a stretch, 19 games.
The trouble is that there's a team.
Yeah, I mean the 20. Sorry, 20, because it's going to be difficult there. 19.
Your views on it, Port?
I think the split things had its day, mate. I think it's new. It's like everything else, isn't it? In life and evolution, it's just like it gets stale, doesn't it? It's boring now. It's like the split. And see, if we're really honest, seeing the bottom half of the split at the tail end of the season, is there really a big difference between some of them and the top half of the championship on their day, and then with the top half of the championship with a bit extra money for the league. I think the teams could be a lot closer to some of the teams in the bottom 6, mate. And what I'm hoping is, and I keep saying it, but for new investors, I'm hoping next year, with the typical American swagger, they come in and they draw a lot of attention to our league, different sponsors to our league. Therefore, they could.
All right, mate, we've reached that time in the evening. If you get yourself on mute, because we're going to have a tune.
Oh, every other Saturday, my half day off, and it's up to the match I go. Happily we wander down the Copeland Road, me and my wee pal Joe. Oh, we love to see the lassies with the blue scarves on. We love to hear the boys all roar. But I don't have to tell you the best of all, we love to see the Rangers score. Whoa, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, my. Oh, how we love to hear the cry. We love to see the lassies with the blue scarves on. We love to hear the boys all roar. But I don't have to tell you the best of all, we love to see the Rangers score. Oh, we won the Scottish League about 1,000 times. The League Cup is simple too. We gave some exhibitions in the Scottish Cup. We gave a Wembley Wizard too. And when the Glasgow Rangers win the European Cup, like the one they had before, we'll rally round an Ibrox 100,000 strong. We'll give the boys an Ibrox roar. Whoa, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, mine. Oh, how we'll up to hear the cry. We'll up to see the lassies with the blue scarves on. We'll up to hear the boys roar. But I don't have to tell you the best of all. We'll up to see the Rangers score. Oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, mine. Oh, how we'll up to hear the cry. We'll up to see the lassies with the blue scarves on. We'll up to hear the boys roar. But I don't have to tell you the best of all. We'll up to see the Rangers score. Whoa, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, mine. Oh, how we'll up to hear the cry. We'll up to see the lassies with the blue scarves on. We'll up to hear the boys roar. But I don't have to tell you the best of all. We'll up to see the Rangers score.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Aye. Enjoy that. What a nice tune, that one.
That's a wee banger, that one. Yep, I love that wee one. Yep.
We love to see the
Yeah.
Rangers score. Yeah.
You know,
Love it.
I'll give you a quick thing that my take on the split and how the Scottish football's got itself in a mess, and sometimes we don't even realise it yet.
Yeah,
Who did we play on Saturday?
Hibs, innit? Hibs.
Hibs. Who did we play in the next game?
Bilbao.
No, sorry, domestically.
None, is it? Is it none?
No, Aberdeen. Yeah.
Aberdeen, there you go.
Right. That could potentially be your next two fixtures in the league. How stupid is that?
Aye, I know. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aye. That's what I'm saying.
What
Mate,
if the split's no right? You could be playing Aberdeen one week and playing them the next week in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Just my take on it. Yeah.
Is that because we've got a was it a 12-team league or something like that? Is that what you're meaning?
No, with the split. What we do with
But
the
it's split, yes, of course, yeah.
With two fixtures, the last two fixtures against Hibs and Aberdeen, and then potentially we could play them the next 2 weeks, the same fixtures again. You could play Hibs and Aberdeen.
That'll be the supercomputer. You've just told them to control that computer today. That.
Potentially, you could have that scenario, mate. Yeah.
Yes.
Which dilutes the product, Oxford.
Huh?
That's what you're doing. You're diluting. Yeah.
Yeah. Just the way.
Yeah. No, I get it. That's exactly what you're doing. You're diluting the product, and like you said earlier on, you know, you could market the Celtic Rangers game, you know, so differently. If it's seen less times, you know, I know a lot of people will say about the money, the 4 games draw, but if you make it a game of magnitude over 2 games a season, it becomes a bigger spectacle. It becomes a bigger, meaningful match. And if you market it right, Oxford, you know, you can price it at what you want, because you know for a fact the punters will pay.
Yeah, well, yeah, when you want to mark anything with that mob, but that's another story, mate.
Yeah.
That's another story. But I get it, but that's what people say about that game. They won it 4 times, but I get it. But just my take, a quick thing that could possibly happen with the split. I'm not saying it will, but it could happen, and I just think that's crazy. You know. But aye. So we've got a big game. Hibs are on a good run. We're no on a good run at Ibrox. Let's be really honest about it. So we've got to go there and get a result and get that monkey off our back. So I'm looking forward to Saturday. 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, Bridge. What are you going to do with that time?
What's that about? That's a fantastic time. That is the time. It's just weird, isn't it? You don't, we get messed about that much. All of a sudden we got a big game at Ibrox at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. Love it. Just love it.
I'll cut across here. We've been going to a friend of the show. We're Gary on the way to Western Australia. Evening, Gary. Aye, still good evening. Well, morning to you, innit?
Aye, it's morning, Ox. How are you, mate? Okay.
Aye. How we doing, mate? How's things?
Aye, good, Ox, good. Listen, I just wanted to phone the show, mate. As you know, I listen all the time, every day, going to work or whatever. I always listen to you. And what I want to say is I want to commend each and every one of the Rangers supporters for standing by your club, first and foremost, after what happened in 2012. But more importantly, Ox, about the events that happened this week. The justification of the Rangers support who have been pillared through, you have been put through the ringer, mate, for a tax thing, and yet there's a certain section of the community over in Scotland who denied everything that was labelled against them, mate, and it's been proved correct. So I would just like to say to every Rangers supporter in Scotland, not just Scotland, but all over the world, mate. Stick your chest out now. Stick your chest out now and give yourselves a pat on the back. Because one thing that we are, Alex, is we're Presbyterians, but we're also people with morals. And these people have no morals, mate. How a club like that knew what was going on and yet done nothing about it is despicable. Now, I don't want to keep going on about it, Ox, but I put a post up on another supporters website, which is my own Partick Thistle. They were talking about this new format that the Premier League are wanting to do, this top 10 or whatever it is, and I said to them, this is a smokescreen for a bigger story. A smokescreen. They've tried everything, Ox. They tried to do this split. They tried 10 teams. Then they says that there was near relegation for a couple of years to let the teams bed in. There's only one way this is going to work, Ox, and that's to increase that league. You need to increase.
Can you agree more, mate?
No decrease it, Ox. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. You know what I mean? And people need to realise, Ox, there's one team calling the shots here. You know what I mean? But the shoe's going to be on the other foot. If this takeover comes through for yous, mate, I'm telling you, they're running scared now. You know. Now, I did see on that way. Sorry, I get a wee bit waylaid there, but
no, carry on.
On that other thing, I sees about. I cannot understand why, and for the life of me, I can't. Why has no other club? Why does no other club come out and say, by the way, we're not having this anymore? You know what I mean? Not just about the sexual thing, that thing that they get charged with. I mean, that's unbelievable. Anywhere else, see if that was a work or anywhere else, they'd have been shut down. Now, why is the SFA or the SPFL not getting investigated into this? Because they never made a safe working environment. You know?
Well, it's just my view. I think since 1982 they've been getting their placement in a lot of places.
Exactly.
And then, particularly in the last 20 years, mate, you've got the political thing in Scotland as well. Things have changed. And then you've got the media placement that they've worked really hard to get in place in maybe the last 10 to 15 years, so you control a narrative.
Exactly.
And the story broke. It was obvious why that story came out about the league. It was maybe obvious the date came out as well. If you noticed, it was the 1st of October. I mentioned it last night. I wouldn't swap our history with their history, mate.
No. And one last thing, Ox, while I'm on, I would just like to, I just seen it there. It's 10 years for Chaz Omnett died.
Oh, Chaz,
what a man, Ox. I grew up with Chaz. Chaz ran about with my cousin Gavin in Partick, as you probably know, you know what I mean? And he ran that bus with Drew Miller and the whole lot of them. What a place that was, you know. But you'll remember that as well, you know.
Yes,
Did you say Partick? Did you say Partick?
Yes. That's
Where's that? Where's Partick?
That's the centre of the world, Bridge.
Oh, love it. Gun yourself, pal. Well said.
Yes, it was an adventure, mate. It was an adventure.
And if we could only turn the clock back, mate, back to the days, you know what I mean, when Rangers were winning everything, you know.
Well, they weren't then, mate.
No, that
was a period, a time when that journey started, mate. If you think about it, there was times we finished 5th in the league.
Aye.
Yeah. You know.
Oh, I know, Ox. I used to walk in with my thistle scarf and they'd all shout and ball at me, you know what I mean? But anyway.
That was only because you wouldn't buy a drink.
Aye. I went in one door and out the other door, mate, you know what I mean?
But listen, mate, I know you're a Thistle man and that's your team and that's your passion in the football part, but I've got to hope when I speak to other football fans that they've got to wake up and realise what's happened to them because they fell for it. Mate, and what they've done, particularly in 2012, they turned us into the enemy and we've never been the enemy. For instance, when Inverness were in trouble, historically we went up there and tried to help them, but why should we now? Why should we support there?
Aye. It's Hearts and Thistle that should be backing you 100% all the time, mate. Because we're the two clubs that were wronged with that mob, with that title that they got. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Right, listen, I'll go the New Ox, but on behalf of myself and everybody else, you know what I mean? You're doing a great job, guys, and always remember, mate, just stick your chest out, just laugh at them now. Do you know what I mean? Because they can't say nothing to you. You know what I mean? Everything that club stands for now is it's in the gutter. You know what I mean? They're in the gutter where they should be, mate. You know. Okay, you all take care, Ox. All right.
Mate.
Thanks.
Cheers,
mate. Bye.
Cheers, mate. All the way from Western Australia.
Top man, mate. Top man.
Yeah. You go back a long way, mate. A long way.
Aye, no, see, whenever he phones in, mate, whenever he phones in, you know, obviously we know his passion's Partick Thistle, but in football in terms, he's always got something, you know, to put across and speaks the truth, and he's good. He's good when he comes on, mate. I enjoy him when he comes on.
Yeah.
Comes with good stock, I take it.
With him about the bigger league, personally. Yeah, but great to hear other people's thoughts. You know, even, I mean, you know, I think it was a couple of seasons ago we played Kilmarnock 7 times in a year. You know, they don't seem to. The last people to think of Bridge is the fans, and even people who are armchair fans, mate. That's boring to them as well.
Oh, it's worse for them, isn't it? That they don't think of anything. I mean, I remember the last time Rangers tried to make a change and do this and do that, and nobody backed them. And now it's because they're not doing well. We need to do well in the league. Once we start winning the league, or at worst, beating them. Now there we've beaten them a couple of times this season, and my goodness gracious, they could win a treble this year. That's going to look really bad, but for them it'll look great, you know. Because at the end of the day, winning's what it's about, and we're stumbling a wee bit. But yeah, I agree 100% what you said there, Oxy. I agree with that.
But, yes, mate.
Well, do you think there could be a possibility? And I'm looking at it from our American investors' point of view, right? Depending on the strength or the journey where they take us, do you not think, in typical American fashion, they'll be looking to speak to the SPFA or SFA, etc., to try and make a change to the league, to make the product better? Because you know what the Americans are like, mate, they're big on these sort of things. Do you not think they'll eventually try and look to get better sponsors for the league, more eyes watching, you know, and therefore have some sort of I'm not saying have some say in the SCFA, but have ideas that could promote the league and take it to the next level again, mate, and put it back on the map with good sponsorship, good, different platforms to view it even, mate. Do you think the American investors will have that in their mind, mate?
Are you asking me my opinion?
Aye. Yeah.
I think the American investors come in because they think European and world football is changing, mate.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that's what my take on it is. Scotland, for the head of population, I think there's more people watch football in Scotland than any country in Europe, mate.
Right.
Bizarre as it seems, yeah.
No, I just hope they use their influence, mate, to, make the league better, a better product.
They might look at that when they go forward, mate. I don't think
Yeah.
that'll be their initial thoughts. But their thoughts would, if I was them, I wouldn't be interested in anybody else. I would just be trying to build our thing up and have a common sense approach to everything else and within the game, i.e. the league, the structure. The Americans might like the split. If you look at theirs, you can win the Super Bowl and you get in through the playoffs, so their sport and how they do the leagues, etc., is different, mate.
Very different.
They don't have relegation. So there's no uncertainty to your business, so it's a different thing to Americans, but I think you'll see a different approach, and obviously because of big hatters, they'll have big hatters run about them, i.e. legal, etc., so things could change. Bridgeman?
Yeah. Look, there's certain things going on. I don't want to talk too much about what's going on the other side of the city. And our club are doing no bad to know, but we need to be able to do better because that's what we need. We need to win. We need to win games. And some other teams in this country are getting away with murder, shall we say? And I don't think it's right. I don't know if we'll ever be able to do anything about it. But this mob coming in to help, if they're going to do a takeover, it'll obviously depend on certain things. But they could come in and actually clear up for us, or help us to clear up. And I don't know how much they're going to invest, but it needs to be a half decent investment to get us a team that's capable of actually winning the league. And to me, that's the most important thing. We've lost it this year, near enough lost it. But if something happens and the negatives for them, the chances are they might start to slide a wee bit. But it's really grasping at straws there. We need to win our games every time. Simple as that.
We'll let ourselves down, Bridge.
Absolutely, pal.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You look at the points we've dropped, and you look at what Ibrox form at times in this period that we never seen coming. It came, and you look at the points we've dropped. St Mirren at Ibrox, St Mirren away, Motherwell at Ibrox. The Motherwell away. Just day games. There's what is there? 6, 9, 11 points there. 11 points.
It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
And there's things you'd be looking at a Dundee winning a lot different if you'd won all the 8 games. Port Bear, wouldn't you?
Aye, 100%, mate. Even the Ibrox Hibs game as well, mate. There's just games that you just can't put your finger on what was going on. We lost to these teams. I know Neil said earlier on, look, he was the pundit, no spark. There was no drive in the team. And if we're honest, that's what we were looking at as well. We were wondering where that spark was coming from at times. You're just looking at teams being so flat. I said they looked unfit. I said they looked tired. And that was just over halfway over the season. I thought we looked shattered on our feet. I really did, mate. I thought we looked a shadow of ourselves. I thought, why are these guys looking knackered? The injuries were piling up as well. Not making that an excuse, but you think, you touched on it earlier on, you think that we beat them twice, New Year, and just at Park Keep there, convincingly, by the way, and as Bridge says, they're 13 plus points with us in the league now, and you could go and win a treble, mate, and you're like, we've wiped the floor with them. But it doesn't matter wiping the floor with them next year. You've got to beat everybody else. That's what's let us doing. It's not them. It's not like them games. It's everybody else in the league, and that for me is what hurts.
Aye, I get that. You know, it's frustrating, Bridge, isn't it? It's been frustrating. Yeah, upsetting, annoying, angry. The emotions they've all been there.
Well, you can see that the club's hurting, the fans have been hurting, and that's the reason why you've got multiple managers coming in short spaces of time. It's there, it's within the club, and I didn't know what they were going to do, and of course we won't know what they're going to do. But this, shall we say, this thing with the 49ers may be a blessing in disguise for us. That could actually help us tremendously. And that's what I'm looking for from my club. I want my club to be as fit as fiddle as a club and as fit as a fiddle on the pitch with the players. We need both of that to happen, and we must be run correctly. So if it takes something to do it, I don't know. There are a lot of guys I've spoken to about it, and some of them are worried that we're changing the rules within the club because it was going to be Dave King and another number of senior directors and seriously big directors. They were going to finance the club, and it would only be, I don't know, I can't remember what percentage it was, but it wasn't anywhere near 0.5%, like 24% or something like that. Now, if we're going to allow the 49ers to come in, they're going to own probably 51%, around about that. And that's different for our club, but I'm willing to take that chance. I want somebody to come in and help us. A bit of investment, and let's get on with it. Because we've proven we've got some players there that this squad of managers and coaches that we've got can get tunes out of these players. And we need to be able to continue doing that. And now, I hope that they keep the squad of managers and coaches and get us forward, and maybe bring in something in the medium term at the top, director of football and people like that, because we need people to be able to go and see and do at a different level. I don't know if Barry Ferguson's capable of doing all that, but he's done a good job with the players on the park, and I'm happy with that. I wouldn't like to lose all them and all that energy. It would need to be something special that comes in to replace all them.
It'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting. My information is that it could happen this month, possibly the start of next month. It's going to be interesting. Then we'll all be looking to see what they do in the managerial front. And then when I've sorted that out, we'll be looking to see what players we start bringing in. You know, you would like to think if you're that far down the road, there'll be plans getting made. Because it never stops. Football never stops, does it? If you're honest, what?
No, definitely not, mate. I'd like to think that there's definitely a blueprint in place, but I'd like to think, mate.
That was quite clever.
Yeah, I think that what will happen, mate, is that there's got to be discussions going on in regards to managers right now, even players, mate, targets, because you don't want to get halfway through April, mate, and nothing's even been spoken about. There's already teams in Europe signing players, mate. You know, you've got Sporting Lisbon have signed 2 this week. You've got teams already starting to plan for next season already. And I don't want us to be starting the season, mate, with all the loan players coming back. And we've still got, you know, a large group of the current squad there with the loan players we've tried to get out of the club all coming back. And we've still not, you know, a manager in place. We've not got any other players bought in. I just don't want to start the league, mate, with 1 foot behind. I want this concluded pretty quickly, mate, so that the guys can start making their moves and shaking the club up.
Okay, come and join us. Give your thoughts. 0141 356 1972. We're going to move on to a statement that was put on the club today concerning the singing section. Yeah. I think it's a shot across the bows to not to make silly own goals. I get the boys do a lot of tremendous things, and what we don't want is people not being able to get into their seats because we've got a bit of a stadium closure. Yeah, but sometimes they've got points and entitled to their point. You know, I didn't really get the banner that caused all the controversy a couple of weeks ago. I never even noticed it at the time. But look, the club will come out with a statement. They'll try. There's a lot of harsh words in it about the season tickets, etc., with surcharges and all different things, and maybe stopping season tickets. We don't want that. The boys want to come and support their team. We want to make sure they can be there because they're also the future. But we don't want partial closures or people not being able to get their seats for big games, particularly in Europe. Poor Bear.
No, and I get the young man's frustration, mate. I get that they've not seen like what we've welcomed, we're 9 in a row and all the trophies we've won over the years. They're craving that. I get that, mate. They're absolutely craving our club to win consistently for them. But they're a 12th man. They'll always be a 12th man, like you said, mate. They're also a future of the club. They definitely are. They do a fantastic job with all the tifos and constantly singing in the stadium, keeping that stadium alive. And I take my hat off to them every time I hear them, mate, because they're absolutely fantastic. But we have to cut out these banners, mate, especially when they're doing a sort of political nature and that carry on. And it's not what we're about. You see that over the other side with other mob flying flags that they shouldn't be, that carry on. It's just not been us, mate. It's just, as I said, and Gary Brownlee touched on it, we've got morals. We're just better people. We're just a higher class of person. So, I feel your frustration, Troops, but just don't get any stadium bans, because we need these in Europe. We need these every Saturday, Sunday games, etc. I know, but definitely, I just be careful what you're doing, boys.
Bridge, you sit in that stand, yeah?
He's the orchestrator.
Yes, indeed, orchestrator. It's the singing section is very good. When I see the banners going up, the big tifos and that are glorifying our club is fantastic. I don't think Rangers supporters in our stadium should go down into the sort of political level, because we'll never win going down that level, because we just won't win. There's too many people waiting to get a knife into our back, and that's the truth. So I don't think we should be going down these roads. Glorify the Rangers, put it up there, all the banners you want, the Rangers themselves. Don't step onto that, because they know where who's holding the banner up, and they see it. I'm not saying they know them, but they're going by the seats. They could pick people up on it, We don't want that. So peace with the young lads, and let's have it right. Don't make any connection from a political perspective. Otherwise, things are going to happen against us, and we can't afford that. I don't mean physically or fiscally. We can't afford it from a press perspective. We just can't afford it. We can't afford to get, shall we say, painted into a corner with these people. Can't afford it. Please be careful.
Yeah, and I've also mentioned the away games that we just have to be smarter. Yeah, listen, we've all been young, or got involved, and I understand it fully, and they want to go and support the club, but they just have to be sensible, and we don't want. They've already said about taking tickets off us for the next Premier Sports Trophy or whatever it will be called the next season. And we don't want less and less, because we're going to end up hurting the thing that we all love. But yeah.
Aye, because eventually it's not just stadium bans, Oxford. After the stadium bans take place, then it's financial penalties as well. So then you're taking money out of the club. So that's what I'm saying. You've just touched on it there. Just be smart. Just be clever. There's loads of millions of ways to get things out there and air your views, etc. But just not in the stadium. Not in the stadium where you're going to financially hurt the club. You're going to financially hurt our club, and that's the last thing we need.
Can I also say on that line, we don't want we want to spoil anybody's enjoyment and so on and so forth. Remember, we need to get a line drawn by the club as to what would be acceptable. But we really do need to watch what we're doing with the fireworks stuff. We need to watch what we're doing there, because that's the thing, in my opinion, that's the thing that's going to get the fans and then the club into a lot of trouble, particularly European nights.
What do you think as somebody who sits there, Bridge? Do you think it's added to go into the game? They've been in your stand, or did you prefer it when they were in the other stand?
Well, they were great on the other stand, and they're good in our stand. It's noisier, of course, because the other time we were down the bomb. But it's just the way Europe's looking at us now. I think that's a couple of times we've been pulled up for fireworks, and I just need to. I don't know if they're real fireworks or no, but you know, these flares and things like that. They're putting it up there, and that becomes dangerous. And you don't need to do that and it'll last for 10 minutes or whatever, and then you think that's it done. No, somebody's looking at that, they'll make a complaint in a European game. We need to watch what we're doing. That's all I ask them to do. Watch what we're doing. If the club doesn't want you to put these things up, don't put them up. I know, by the way, the youngsters love it. They love it, all that stuff. They like it. I don't want to take anything away from the youngsters, but that hurts the club. Whatever it is that hurts the club, stop it. I remember Walter Smith saying something like that before. That if they're doing that, then you just stop it, because I know we don't want that. So there you are, I think.
It was just along in your day that the half bottles used to come out the bottle and just.
Oh my God! Aye, absolutely. Yeah. You know, the amount of stuff that used to get thrown onto the pitch is incredible.
It was never thrown, but it just fell out your pocket and made.
It fell out of my pocket a number of times. Aye. No, but you're right. No, I think now, in this modern era, it's marvellous to watch on the telly when you see these flares and all that, and they can do things with them, and it makes it look a nice, pretty pattern. But Europe is starting to trample on that, put a stamp on that, and if they're doing that there, they're going to do it here as well. And we've been done a couple of times. Let's not do it again.
Just don't score any on goals. You know, a bit of dialogue, maybe with the club, be smarter, yeah, and keep away from certain stuff. You know, just don't. As I say, no on goals. You want the boys to go enjoy, bring the atmosphere, the colour, the tifos, enjoy their football, enjoy supporting the team, and hopefully cheer us on to success. You know, and then the next thing they know, whether they like it or not, they'll be taking their sons and daughters to Ibrox.
Aye, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. They are the future, and you know, it's no secret next year. There's every part of the ground as well. It's got CCTV cameras, every part of the ground, and if you continue to, you know, do what you're doing, eventually they'll start picking people out. And as you said earlier, season tickets are going to be moved. You then find yourself with a stadium ban, you know, and to extend it again, if they actually pick you to end in particular, you're caught doing it, you're going to get stadium bans for Scotland. You know, these just don't count your own stadium. The authorities will go after you for every stadium, so you can't travel your team either. So all I'm urging, mate, is basically the boys to be clever. There's ways and means. Just be clever.
As we move back into the end of the show, let's hear from you if you have any thoughts on it.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
I was quite surprised when I seen that today, but you know, the problem is that we don't govern. We play in competitions, and then the government bodies, UTHA, SFA, whoever competitions are playing in, they own your backside, Bridge. So we've just got to be smarter, yeah.
100%, pal, 100%. And let's put it this way: the days that you can get away with, well, no murder, but you know what I mean, getting away with a lot, and the club were, shall we say, they were never done for it because it was the fans that was doing it, that kind of thing. Those days have gone. The all-seated stadium. And comes under the, shall we say, it comes under UEFA when they're playing in Europe, and UEFA don't like the clubs doing that. Now I don't know whether they've got the same high principle with clubs in Europe. I believe they do, but they certainly don't like it with clubs in Britain. British clubs, they don't like the fireworks at all, and they're looking out for it, and we're going to get it done. It's I mean, if it was Partick Thistle, I have to say, they probably wouldn't bother about them, But Rangers, Celtic, absolutely.
What I would hate, Bridge, is something happened at Ibrox next Thursday. We get through in the tie, which will be difficult, but we get through in the tie, and something happens, and then you get a closure for a semi-final of a European trophy.
Absolutely. No, they're desperate to do it as well. My feeling, they're desperate to do it.
I think there would be fans would turn on fans, and we don't want that, Porter.
But Oxford,
Sorry, Rich.
I think just see when you're talking like that, and I know that we don't want that, and I don't think any does, but we don't have any say. None of our shall we say, friends are in high places in Europe, so we have got nobody to defend us at all. And in fact, we've got people in Europe that would actually come down against us anyway, just because of who we are. So we need to be ultra careful. I had to put that ultra in there, by the way. But we have to be ultra careful.
That's what you've done there, but that was not as good as his blueprint.
Aye, that's the last place you want to hurt us, Oxdear. We're quite, becoming a regular team in the later stages of European competitions, mate. Flying the flag for Scotland is all. But that would really hurt the club if all of a sudden we get to the next round, like you're saying, and there's a stadium ban or a half stadium closure, because I don't care what anybody says, Oxford, the microscope's on us. They're watching us now, and in this league and the European League, they are looking out for our behaviour. And that's, again, it's the financial penalties that we put on the club, that will hurt us. And, just be really careful, because UEFA they might ban us for a tournament next year. You just don't know. If we don't curb this, and we don't, I understand why clubs put out the statement, because they're trying to put a lid on it, and I get it, but if we don't adhere to what the club's saying, just be careful what you wish for, because you can end up getting, banned for tournaments, mate, in Europe. British teams we've had before.
You never know what it would do, and you're right. There is policemen there who have no love for your club, but it'd be interesting to see what pans out. Listen, the boys will have another side to their story. I don't doubt it for a minute. And go and enjoy. Have all your tifos, get it right. Have your banners up, supporting the club, messages. Yeah, just don't make any own goals. And if they're not sure about anything, there's got to be somebody in the club they should ask, be able to ask. Yeah, it shouldn't take long. We have a fans liaison officer, that they should be able to go and find out, is that all right? Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Measure twice, cut once, Bridge, yeah?
Aye, absolutely, pal. Absolutely. It's just sad that you've got a radio station here, shall we say, trying to advise our fans not to do something that the fans actually love. And it's really difficult, because you don't want to say you're going to ruin it for us. Well, the truth of the matter, that's probably what we really are meaning. That the fans that could end up ruining it for us simply because of what they want to do. If they want to do something, you mentioned it there. A fans liaison officer could come out and or distribute something that says this is what you're allowed to do, and you went through a couple of them there, big tifos, and enjoy yourselves, do what you want to do, sing all the songs, all that nonsense, and not that it's nonsense, but you know what I mean. But don't do that. Here's red lines here. Don't cross them ever.
Anyway, we've been joined by a caller. Evening, caller.
Good evening. It's Bill here from the Midlands.
How you doing, Bill?
Hi, Bill.
Not so bad. Obviously, I've been listening to the show quite regular, and I phoned in a few weeks ago about these 49ers and about the lack of spending at Leeds and all the money they've took out of Leeds. They've not spent a penny in transfers, as you well know. And the manager in January asked for extra funds to help him get promotion to the Premiership, and he didn't get any. But anyway, as you well know in the paper lately about all the shares, etc., they at this moment in time can only attain about 26% of the club, and they're trying to get more. And like there's 530 million Rangers shares, which about 260 million are owned by the shareholders, of which 3 don't want to sell. And it's like, you know who's going to, I mean, the 49ers are not the actual company that's buying Rangers. It's actually Andrew Kavanagh plus the investors in the 49ers. Nothing to do with the 49ers as a company.
The investment arm of the 49ers, yeah?
That's exactly right. But that's individuals.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing to do with the York family or the Bertoli family who own the 49ers. So, and obviously the people that's coming into Rangers, you know as well as I am where their persuasion is, they're all Italians. Ex-Florentino owner for a start. They're a guy for the Italian leagues coming in who are involved at least at the moment. And the president is Italian as well. But who's going to sell the shares? And I would like to, I'm very surprised we haven't heard from 1872 about their shareholdings, or Alan McCoy for their shareholdings. If these people, if they would manage to get 51% of the shares, the other shares are dormant, really. And at this moment in time, we've borrowed £64 million since last October. Not 64, I beg your pardon. Included 23 million we owe John Bennett and Donald Park.
Yeah, the real money, and you're thinking that they'll turn their shares into equity, maybe make dependent, and obviously if the shares go up. So you've got the shareholders, you've got obviously Dave King's the largest with roughly 13%.
30%.
And then, Douglas Park's get 11.5%, and then you go down to George Taylor with 10.2%. There's, then you go down
and Julian Walhart and John Halstead. John Halstead, about 3 years ago, looked at buying the club, or setting up a business company to buy the club, and thought it was too complicated. And now he's got 9% of the shares now, because he turned loans into shares as well.
Aye.
But I don't see how it's possible. When they got Leeds to start with, they didn't own the ground, by the way, Leeds. It was owned by the council. Mm-hmm. And they've got the lease of the ground through Leeds Holding, through the Italian guy that came in about 2018, I believe, or 2016, something like that. And now they've got the freehold of the ground now, I believe. But they got that in 2023. But I don't see how it's possible for them to get 51% of the club in such a short time, because they've got to get individuals like you and I, etc., that's got shares.
They don't.
It isn't humanly possible in this short time.
Once you get to a certain thing, you've got a right to. You've got to. I can't remember the terminology.
29%. That is.
You've got to then make an offer for everybody's shares. Now, people like us
are exactly right.
Sell our shares. We're not going to sell our shares because of the emotional tie.
Donald Parks won't sell. John Halstead won't sell, and Stuart Gibson won't sell.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out, mate. Yeah, but
and I'm quite, as I say, I would love to 1872. I would love them to get control of the pitch, to buy the pitch.
You're not going to hear for them, mate. And but that organisation's now a busted flush, mate.
But they still own 5% of the shares.
They do own 5% of the shares, mate. And their model was never going to work, mate. Never going to work.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we're selling our souls out to the other side of the persuasion, as you well know. With it, you know exactly who we're having, and as the fans going, we were bad enough when we got Mo Johnson, but our whole club's going to be on with him then.
Well, we'll see what it takes us, mate. We'll see what it takes.
But you know as well as I know what it's going to take us.
I don't, mate. That's what I don't know, and you know.
Yeah, but you know who's going to be on the board. We're not going to have any other lads on the board.
Well, there might be places for Stuart Gibson. You know, he's a big hitter. You know, somebody.
Well, John Halstead's the richest of the Rangers shareholders.
He's a big hitter, you know, and obviously he's American, and it'd be interesting to see how the whole thing pans out.
He's part of the Perron company. His shares are through the Isle of Man.
Mm-hmm.
He's I know of the guy through somebody else.
Right.
So I know when he was on about buying the club, and it was too complicated. And I don't see how this is going to be settled by April. I just don't see it. And they haven't spent a tap at Leeds, as I said before. They've took 130 million out in transfers.
The trouble when you come down for that Premier League, mate, it's like a curse. Because you've got the wages that you've got to pay. It's just crazy, mate. You make all that
they've
money.
chopped the wage bill by an amazing amount by selling loads of staff. But the other thing that Leeds take away their television revenue. They generated £30 million less than Rangers last year.
And the Championship.
Yes.
Yeah, the season tickets are a lot cheaper.
Because they got that, and the cheapest match day ticket at Leeds now is £44. And I've already told that if they get in the Premiership, the average price next year will be £75. And they put the season tickets up by 14%. So it's not all roses. And what I'm really, really, really surprised about, the lack of people coming out to talk about it. And Donald Parks, nobody's mentioned it. So they've been offered an extra 5 pence on the shares, haven't they?
Yeah, but listen, as a shareholder, mate, if Donald, the people have his opinions, and Donald will bring the boys in as well. If you don't want to sell, it's your right. Yeah, you don't have to sell. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I know that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it pans out. I mean, obviously, as a series hitter, you'd like to think he's seen all the plans, and then that might say, well, I might just sit here because these shares could go rocket up in value if this works. Yeah, it can also go the other way. Bridgeman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as I say, obviously all that, but I'm just concerned who is going to take our club on.
It'll be interesting to see how the whole thing pans out.
And we'll have to change our songbook.
Yeah, but we won't know. We won't know until this thing settles down as to what's going to happen. If they're going to ask the fans to buy the shares off them, as Oaksteer just said a minute ago, any fans or any shareholder, should I say, have got the right not to sell. So if they need to get a certain amount off the fans, they might not get it because there's people like Oaksteer and myself. I mean, if I thought and if it was okay and the club needed me to sell my shares to make something happen, then I would gladly do it for the club. But if they're trying to, if they're going to try just to absolutely convert our club into something else, then no, I wouldn't do it. I'd only do it if I was happy. And I'm sure all the many, many thousands, if not millions, of Rangers fans have got shares. They'll not want to hurt the club in any way, shape, or form. They'll not want that. So
yeah, I mean that's obviously what I'm trying to say. But what I'm saying is, all we're hearing is, it's going to be this and it's going to be that, and I don't think it is, unfortunately.
It's going to be difficult, mate. I mean, obviously, you can't, with the rules have got in place with football, yeah, you can front load it, but to make your turnover shoot up dramatically just in Scottish football is highly unlikely that your turnover is going to shoot up on dramatically. Now, obviously, if we can qualify for the Champions League, and just even if we had a bad season, your turnover rockets because of the riches in that competition, Port Bear, yeah?
Yeah, mate, and that's where I think, this consortium or, the next regime are looking at it. They're just looking at the European money that the club will generate. It's not the money in Scotland they're looking at. But my view on it is, mate, look, I've got my personal view. I think whatever's best for Rangers, and I think it's only my opinion, this, by the way, the current crop of owners and shareholders are financially tired. But we're not going forward with the club. The club's stagnant. It's going nowhere. And I welcome any fresh investment. Everything comes with a risk. I understand that. Everything comes with a risk. But I would rather see, financial guys, owners, investors, what you want to call them, come into the club and put us on the front foot and make us first of all a domestic force again, winning trophies in our homeland, and then the rest will take care of itself. But I understand your caution, mate, but I'm sick of being second best, and I'd like to see fresh investment. Like I said, the current shareholders are financially tired, in my opinion.
But sorry to interrupt, but obviously you've probably listened to other Leeds fans like I have, and I've got a lot of Leeds fans beside me, season ticket holders, etc., as well. I travel everywhere with Leeds, and obviously Leeds had a chance for the Premiership, top of the league, £200 million riches when they get in the Premier League, and the 49ers never spent a tap in January, and now Leeds might not get promotion now.
Is there an argument if that was the same investors, if they're looking to invest elsewhere, that's where maybe they'll put their money? But look, I've no Leeds and us different scenarios because of what you're trying to chase. We're trying to chase the Champions League, they're trying to get into that Premier League. But that Premier League, bizarrely, mate, when they do get it with all the riches, they don't seem to make any money, do they? Because the players that come in want the wages they want are that big that all the fast revenues you get just seems to disappear.
Well, that's the first thing they've done, and also, as you probably well know, I mean, I'm only talking all the things that you know as well. But what they have discovered now was the amount of loans they still owed in transfers when they were in the Premier League.
By the way,
there's still people still to pay. Like obviously they bought players on the never, and they still owed a lot of money. And then £99 million of debt Leeds as well.
There's a lot of transfers, maybe paid over 6 years, big transfers.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
and obviously they took in £162 million in transfers and spent about £30 million, but they've spent a lot of loans and cut the wages, etc., etc. But you're talking about like they're looking for us to get into Europe to get them a couple of quid. But like Leeds are looking to get in the Premiership to get them serious money, and they wouldn't support Leeds. But they are actually owned by the 49ers, which, if that is like what I'm trying to say, we're only going to get the Andrew Speed, the Michael Phelps, and the film star guys, and all. It's got a few quid. It's not actually 49ers. It's putting the money in.
No, I'm well aware of that, mate. How what's happening, and it's the 49 investment arm, which is a different organisation.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, the York family.
Because the 49ers are actually owned by the Bertoli family, which they're also American, and the York's the son-in-law, who's now he runs the company now. But the mother, Bertoli mother, is the person with the dollar.
It's going to be
so, as I say, I think we're trying to run before we can walk. That's the only problem.
But even if they come in, there will be some money to spend this year, but it's not going to be a revolution. It could be an evolution. But do we need a revolution to win in Scotland? We maybe need 2 centre-half, the goalkeeper. We would have lost half the games we've lost this season. Bridge?
You never said a truer word than what you said there, boy. That's the truth. A couple of centre-halves and a goalkeeper. I'll tell you, Rangers would be a completely different team. A bit of quality at the back there. I believe that sincerely. It's really interesting listening to what to say there regarding the link between Leeds, and it's not a continuous link or a solid link to Rangers, but close, you know. But I just don't see the Leeds story being anything like the Rangers story. So forgive me, I don't see it, but it's interesting to hear what you're saying. I lived there in England for a long time, and when the Leeds were really high, or a really big club under Don Revie and things like that. So we know they've been a huge club in their own right, but I don't think they're anywhere near the size of Rangers. Nowhere near.
No, of course they're not.
The
money's the president of Leeds is now the chairman, and he's the guy who's heading up the sale.
Yeah, but I just don't see that. Maybe it is linked.
Anyway.
Right. Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry.
I wish you'd phoned in a bit earlier. I could have done some stuff as you caught me a wee bit on the hop. But listen,
Yeah.
great
I
to
would
hear from
say,
you as always, mate.
I would obviously. This is my main concern. I would love to hear us try and retain the freehold of Ibrox.
Aye, like Chelsea have done with their ground. There's other
Yes.
teams done it. Yeah, I get it, mate.
And also, there's 37 acres up at Auchenhowie. It's worth about £40 million
Aye.
in building land.
Oh, if you look, but it's similar to Bridges' back garden, mate.
I don't even know what it is, to be honest with you. I don't even know what Auchenhowie is. I haven't got a clue.
Mulgai, mate. Mulgai.
Yeah, well.
Mulgai.
Millengavi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, listen, mate.
When I lived in Maryhill, it was called Millengavi.
Yes.
That's correct. Whereabouts in Maryhill were you? Tell the truth.
Hope Hill Road.
Hope Hill Road. Oh my God, you're glad to be away from there, I'll tell you.
Yeah, long time ago. And also,
Did
before I go,
did you go
one
into the
little
old
quick
Seymour?
thing.
Did you go into the old Seymour cinema?
I did, and the Blythewood, and the Astoria.
And the Blythewood, I love it. I was in them all.
And Astoria, yeah.
It was bad.
And yeah,
Listen,
but one
by the
very
way,
quick thing before I go.
Fox doesn't do overtime, so last word quickly. Well,
Last word. Don Kitchenbrand died a few weeks ago, and he was the oldest living Rangers.
Yes.
And I thought that I'd got his autograph at Ibrox. And I found my old autograph book with Don Kitchenbrand in it in 1956-57.
Right.
And obviously I found loads of other autographs now since Rob Branjim, all the old guys as well. But I've got Don Kitchen's autograph, which I thought, I thought I had it, so I found it in my old autograph book that I got from 1952.
Magic. Well
There you
done,
go.
pal.
They
Well
don't do
done
autographs
indeed.
now. It's selfies, mate. But brilliant,
Selfies.
Will. Brilliant. Brilliant. Listen, Will.
But anyway, I hope that, as I say, I don't want to put any dampers on this big sale, but I'm very concerned.
Fox.
I'm very concerned at who's buying our club.
Fox does the day overtime. Phone in earlier, they're making of a longer.
Okay.
All right.
No, but I like to listen to the show first.
Yeah, no bother, mate. Listen.
And
great,
get the theme of the show. So I beg your pardon. So I bid you all good night and good luck for Saturday.
You drive the show. You come in early and you want to talk about it. We'll talk about it, and it'll give us time to get some stuff up. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll do that.
Yeah. All right.
And bring sweeties.
Okay, you take care. Good night, all.
Bridge, you shut up as well. I'm trying. Right. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. Port Bear. Last word.
Aye, you sure you want to hear last word? No, great call, mate. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed a wee financial chat, but I knew you were caught in the hop because we're probably coming a wee bit late tonight. No, great show, mate. Cheers for having us on. Thanks everyone for listening, and I'll catch up with you soon, guys.
Cheers, mate. Great to hear from you, mate. Great to hear from you. Enjoyed it. Bridgeman.
Oh, brilliant night. Absolutely brilliant night. Fantastic. Great discussions. Really deep there at the end there. I wish Will had come on. We better.
There's nothing wrong with being concerned, Bridge, is there?
Absolutely. No, because I'm concerned all the time about my club, and that's the truth. But can I just say, well done for yourself, Oxford. Thank you, and Port Bear looking after me, and the Keke boys in the background. But can I just say to all the Rangers fans listening in all over the world, Saturday, biggest game of the season by a mile. We need to keep back and into Ibrox and do the business. That's what we need to do. So everybody, keep it going for the Rangers, because the Rangers really need us, and so do they.
Well, thanks to Gary phoned in for Western Australia, and of course Will phoned in there near the end of the show for the Midlands. Thanks to two of them for taking the time to join us here on Rangers Radio. Thanks to Bridge and Port there for doing the show. Fox and Old School Blue for doing the technicals. Rangers Radio will be back tomorrow night between 8 and 10, talking of all things Rangers. We'll look forward to Southside Super 6, and I think he's got a hot tip for the Grand National as well. Take it away, Old School Blue.